We're going to use a graphing utility eventually, but right now we're going to try to solve them algebraically. And that's the main thing I want to emphasize is we're doing this algebraically. So we look at this cosine 2x, and you probably memorized this formula for it. And that's fine, and we can use that, and I suppose we would change that next using the Pythagorean theorem. But there are some other formats that might be more useful to us, and the other format I'm talking about is this one on the bottom. So instead of saying cosine 2x is equal to cosine squared x minus sine squared x, I'm going to say 1 minus 2 sine squared x plus sine x is equal to 0. And that'll save me a step if I wanted to remember these other two. I know it's a lot to remember, so I'm just saying make sure that you know this one, but sometimes there are other ones that would help more. So, like I say, not that you can't change this into 1 minus sine squared x, and then, okay, maybe that's no big deal. Anyway, so what we have here is potentially something that'd be interesting. We say negative, I'm looking at it like this, 2x squared minus 1x minus 1. Can I factor this? Can I say equals 0? Can I say 2x and x, and the middle one's going to be negative, so I better let the 2 win with the negative, and then positive. Will this get me what I want? Well, let's see, 2x, yes it will, yes it will. This is factored, so now let me translate it back. I'm going to say 2 sine of x plus 1 and sine of x minus 1 is equal to 0. Okay, so now I can think about the two things, one over here and one over here. So 2 sine of x is equal to minus 1 if I move that 1 over. And then the sine of x is equal to negative 1/2 if I divide by 2. When does this happen? Well, I'm not talking about arc sine, so I'm not limited. Do they limit me in any other way? Oh yeah, they say 0 to 2 pi. Okay, so they limit me that way. And I guess I'll just think about which way should I go? I guess I'll go down here. And I'll say the opposite side is 1, the hypotenuse is 2, oh, it's a negative 1. And then that makes that the square root of 3. And I think, what value of x would do that for me? And I think, x would be equal to, this looks like the top of a 30, 60, 90, right? So that's 30. But I'm in quadrant 4. So I'm dividing by 6. That's almost all the way home. 12 out of 6 would be 2 pi. This is one shy of that. So that's my answer. But also, there's one over here, right? So I'll also say that's 1 past 6 over 6, or pi. Okay, so these are my two answers for when sine of x is equal to negative half. Notice that I'm underneath the y-axis both times. All right. And now I'm thinking about the situation where the sine of x is equal to 1, so that this will be 0. And when is the sine of x 1? Well, positive 1. It only happens in one place from 0 to 2 pi, and that is pi over 2. And so that's my other answer, pi over 2. 3 pi over 2 is negative 1. So these are my two answers right here. And I'll verify that and tack up a picture of the graph. But those are my solutions. and they ought to be good. My graph should confirm that those are true, but they are good.